So I think we'll just use set A, resources. So again, can you see this one okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is one of the pages. It's from Insights into Me. And so just looking through this, if you're having time by yourself when you don't like being busy, do you like to? And a few options there. And would you say you are someone who likes any of the following? So maybe if we were
Sorry.
No worries. We could just go around and say, yeah, any, maybe from the top or bottom. So I would say that I am someone actually, well, even when I am busy, so when I'm working, there's a tree out, this are amazing 2 trees outside my window. So even when I am busy or meant to be busy, I look out the window a lot at that tree. So that's something I do during my day. Anyone else?
I listen to the radio a lot.
Okay.
Though not when I'm working, that's the only time I can't have the radio on, but more or less every other time of the day.
Okay, okay. So it's background, lovely.
Yeah.
I like people watching and just watching things happen.
Okay.
I do like that.
Any particular venues for that, Cheryl? Or
Coffee shops usually, possibly bistros with the old glass of wine.
Lovely. That's fab. And Stacey is telling us she likes smooth radio. Lovely. Oh, Michelle is joining us as well. Michelle, we're the renegades.
I couldn't get on. I don't know what I was doing.
No worries. No, I think there is a technical. There's a technical issue, Michelle. So
Okay.
we're just doing a round here where we were looking at this. It's one of the pages from Insights into Me, and we were just sharing. The top section is something you like doing if you're when you don't feel like being busy, or the bottom section, someone who likes any of the following. So any of those for you?
I like to watch TV.
Lovely.
I like to read at night in bed. And I like to talk.
That's a good, no, it's a good extra one actually to put in there, definitely. And obviously, yeah, so we can imagine if we were having this conversation, we'd be asking lots of following questions, like I'd be asking about the types of things, or you like to read, Michelle, but I think I'd be asking like, so what does reading look like for you? Are you curled up? Are you flaked out? Do you need, do you like the physical book? Do you like to read on screen? You know, all these kind of extra details that we would be asking as part of normal conversation. So if we were just to think about anything we notice about this list and anything, or how this might be useful in care homes. Any thoughts on either of those?
What, me?
All right, either anyone. I suppose anything you like about it, anything you're wondering about it?
I don't work in care homes, but I wonder, there's normally in care homes, there's a connotation, isn't there? If you see people who live there napping or sitting in silence, sitting with their eyes closed, visitors might make judgments about that, thinking, oh, people aren't being engaged, they're not stimulated, when it is a fair point. We might all enjoy doing that from time to time.
Exactly. No, it's a really good point, Jill, and it's actually part of where this resource came from, because even, you know, if the inspector comes in and says, oh, well, why is, and I'm not saying, but this has happened, that an inspector has come into a care home and said, oh, I just see there's 2 residents napping in the lounge, you know, why is that happening? But then if within the resident's care plan, there was this document which has clearly shown that the resident has been asked, and I know my dad, he lives at home, but that's absolutely his afternoon is the afternoon nap, and he wouldn't want someone to be telling him he should be awake of an afternoon. So it is that thing, exactly. It's kind of challenging that idea that maybe we've gone the other way. We think, oh, from that idea of wanting to disrupt the idea that everyone in care homes sleeps all day, to actually thinking, well, if some people would like to sleep, that is also something that maybe is really important to them. And this maybe helps the conversation, as you say, with relatives, to disrupt maybe what people might be thinking about that. How does that land with people?
Yeah.
Okay. So I lost track of time, but I think we might be no harm for us to go on to the second one. How are we for time, Jill? Do you know the clock doesn't?
I think you were coming back at 1:45, weren't you? So you're about 8 minutes, give or take a minute.
Yeah, perfect. So again, the second one is from The Place in the Fun. So it's again thinking about the elderflowers work. And sorry, so I'll just give you some time just to read that.
I know Stacey's struggling to see the slide, Edel, so I'm wondering, would it help if we read it out maybe?
Okay, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. So it's everyday life in care homes. Music forms a huge part of everyday life in care homes and brings enormous amounts of joy. Care home staff have lots of insight into the types of music, particular singers and songs that are important to the ladies and gentlemen in care homes. Care home staff often show guts by getting up to sing and dance because they know the positive effect this can have. Learning from the elderflowers. There are a number of ways in which elderflowers use song, rhythm and rhyme to create connection and fun. The focus is less on the meaning of words and more on what feeling and fun saying or singing different words and sentences can create. So less on meaning, more on the feeling. Singing words or sentences instead of saying them, picking up on a word and then playing around with other words that rhyme with it, sharing limericks and poems and encouraging others to join in and make up new lines or endings. Incorporating the names of the ladies and gentlemen into a song or poem, stopping midway through a song to tell a story, playing different instruments like the harmonica or ukulele, singing songs that use words from different languages, finding words that are enjoyable to say and saying them often. For example, kerfuffle or promenade. So then the invitation is, if you were to try out something a bit different, looking at the list above of learning from the elderflowers, are there any of these ways of bringing in song, rhythm or rhyme that appeal to you? Are there any different singers, types of music or rhyme that you feel would be fun to share with the ladies and gentlemen in the care home? And then the bottom thing is just if people have given it a go, just kind of reflecting then, if you were to try out something new, what did you notice? Any surprises you see if you try something a bit different, and about the way you move, talk, interact when using music or words in different ways. Okay, so just in that, anything you like in what you read and anything you were wondering or curious about?
Music is huge in my home. I've run a dementia home, and music is so important to my residents, and it evokes all sorts of emotions and activities with them. I've got a couple of residents, we've got an Alexa, I've got a couple of Alexas in the home, but a couple of my residents particularly like that because they will just ask for favourite songs or favourite artists.
Yeah.
So it is hugely important, but I've never thought to use it as a tool for anything other than what they want to use it for.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think it's that thing about, so a lot of the elderflowers work is actually about tapping in for staff, tapping into if there's words they enjoy saying, like kerfuffle now, just that idea that maybe the resident doesn't know what they're saying, but the resident connects with the feeling the person is generating. And so it's that whole same thing about the surprise if they're singing the the only song that came into my head was Down by the Riverside, and suddenly the staff member brings in the resident's name. The whole surprise, they mightn't know the song necessarily, but the surprise of familiarity of their own name within that. And it's really interesting, the other languages. So all of these things are things that I've seen where I've seen the responses that they generate. But again, it's about, we can't demand staff start talking in French. So it's about the staff discovering what music brings them joy. Like we had a story where a staff member was playing the usual on her iPad. She was playing the usual songs she played for residents, and then she had to go and assist someone in the bathroom. And when she came back, it had gone on to her own playlist, which was Mumford and Sons. And she came in, and once she heard, she ran in. She thought, oh my goodness, the manager's going to kill me for having this on. But she noticed that one of the residents, who was really frail with advanced dementia, was actually bobbing her head to Mumford and Sons. And so there's no way in a million years we'd have ever discovered that this woman would have, thanks so much, Jill, would have enjoyed Mumford and Sons, except just it was a bit of a mistake. But it's that idea of, but it was important to the staff. So that being the starting point. So sorry, Stacey, thanks. You have a lady. What I put in front of, wow, yeah. So definitely there is something so powerful and so moving about the potential for music to connect. Anything in those examples, Stacey, that kind of stood out for you as maybe something you hadn't thought about before, or something you might like to try out? And for you, Michelle, anything that you liked about it or wondering about? Not
thinking.
So are you in? Sorry, Kim. Yeah.
Sorry. I just came from another room. They had struggles sharing the screen, so I shared mine. What I found interesting about it was that on the sheet it says what words others would use to describe me, and I thought that is really interesting, because what others would use to describe words others would use to describe me are probably completely different to words I would use to describe me. Because I think it depends on your persona. I have my work persona, I have my at-home persona, I have my mammy head, and you know, lots of different personas depending on who I'm with. And then I was trying to think of it from a perspective of, for example, my dad, he lives in a care home, and he has such different personas. Like when he's talking to me, he's, you know, it's family. When he's talking to other residents, he's someone else completely, and it's the same when he's talking to staff. So yeah, I thought the wording was very interesting as to, you know, why is it others, what others think of me instead of what I think of me.
And what would you, and where would you land on that, Kim, as in what might be, is it something that you think you'd like to only describe yourself, or would you be interested in how others would describe you? Or
I don't know, I think I'd be more nervous. To be honest, it's easier to sort of see how others would see me than it is to really describe yourself. So maybe that's it. Maybe you've just answered my question there with that one.
But it's a funny one, isn't it, in terms of when we're asked to, when we're asked to describe ourselves or what are our qualities or skills, we kind of have quite a limited, well, a lot of people when we're doing this work have quite a limited list. And so just seeing other things written down can potentially give people permission to say, like, one of them is heart of gold. And I don't think I'd necessarily say that out loud, but I know other people kind of have said that about me. So it kind of feels a little bit more possible to use that. Anything else that people are thinking about? So sorry.
Jump that.
And for you, Michelle, are you working in a care home that looks?
Yes. Yeah, I know a lot of them recognise me because my accent's different. Like today I was talking to a lady, and the lady in the room next door was calling out for me, and she said, I can hear your voice.
But that's a really interesting take on that, the sounds, that last piece I put up, because obviously your accent, maybe you have a different lilt, a kind of different kind of rhythm to it, would you say? So it's just, it's different. Yeah, it's an interesting way. It's a different sound that people pick up and maybe enjoy listening to. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, I'm doing activities in the care home, and I'm also the hairdresser.
Okay.
So I do like to think I am a good chatter and listen
and so I'm wondering, Michelle, would you have, so I don't, where's your accent from?
I'm from Kent.
Okay, and would there be certain words or phrases you'd use in Kent?
Yes, like I helped one of the carers the other day. I was helping feeding a resident, and I was like, "Come on, mate," and then she's, "Come on, mate," like, and I'm like, "That's what I sound like," because they call each other "but," don't they? And they have different phrases to like what I say.
Lovely.
So, yes.
So I think that's even another example. You know, if I go back when we have this example here of different ways of using rhythm and rhyme, you've just given another one there, Michelle, about different accents, and even that idea then people sometimes imitate and trying to copy people's accents and the way people say things or the particular words. And I suppose that's the whole thing about, like, when you had that interaction with your colleague, when they were kind of copying mate, what was the energy? What was the energy like between you?
Oh no, I take it in a joke.
Yeah,
it's like last Christmas. They said to me, "Are you going to put the trimmings up?" Now in Kent, the trimmings are on the Christmas dinner plate.
Exactly.
But they called the decorations the trimmings.
The trimmings. Yeah.
So I am learning different words.
No, I have a few of those examples, definitely. Yeah. And I see we're welcoming people back.
Yeah, we don't want giblets on the wall, do we? No,
Yeah, I think we have everyone back now.
Thanks so much, Kim. So it's just now just a few minutes just to hear from people. Just put my screen up again. So these are the different ones, different groups we're chatting with. But yeah, anything you liked about the resources, anything that stood out for you, anything you're wondering or curious about. So I can share just something that stood out for me is that always learning something new. So the elderflowers one, our group we're looking at was the sounds like a song, and it's thinking about different ways of playing around with rhythm and song and rhyme. And I learned from Michelle about how even using different accents playfully in a care home can help generate fun and connection. So maybe Michelle is still learning some of the local phrases in her area, and she's bringing her phrases from Kent. So again, it's just thinking about different ways in which we can bring ourselves into our interactions and into our connections. For anyone else, anything for others from your discussions?
Me and my partner, we looked at the family and friends handout. And a tree. We thought that was a lovely idea, and we were discussing about how possibly you could take it further, how that you could have to have another layer to it, that everybody could have a tree, a tactile physical tree, and they could put their own memories of their friends and family who they would talk about, who would be important to them, on their own individual tree, and the memories about that person, showing that kind of care. So it could be someone could have a grandmother who was very important to them, and the reason why that grandmother was so important because of the cooking was so good and the recipes that they loved. So when everybody individually could have like a workshop with a tree and putting those memories on that little tree, and it could be an artificial tree, and there later on you could then everybody, if they were part of it, of the residents, could then create their own little memory garden. so everybody could walk around or see each other's trees and experience their memories and understand the person that was so important to them, and that memory on their own individual trees, and all together as an inclusive activity, see everybody's memory gardens.
Amazing, Amy. I just, wow, like in that short space of time, you really ran with the idea and expanded it. Amazing. And I suppose that's what's lovely about these things, that they're only ever designed to start the conversation or start the idea, and then obviously it'll have its own legs. And so that example of the friends and family poster, that could be printed off as a piece of paper that maybe staff fill in, residents or relatives fill in. But then, Amy, you've obviously brought it to a whole other level then with your idea about how that could be. As I said, I love the kind of the tactile nature of it, the idea of a memory garden that people walk around and residents get to know other residents even more through that. So fabulous.
We had a nice connection. We had a nice connection, Edel, because we were looking at music, and of course we got onto jingles and the old jingles, and straight away we only need to say like 3 notes to each other. We all know what the jingle is, and it created yeah, you go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's it. So
lovely. So was this, you were looking at, was it the Sounds Like a Song as well? Was that part of that or something else?
Yeah, was that the first or the second page? I can't remember. It was the first or second page. Was it the second page? Slide, lovely. The second slide.
Lovely, yeah. Lovely.
Lovely.
Anything else from others? Any ways in which you might think about using these in your own setting, or could imagine tweaking them slightly? Feel free to use the chat box either.
I like the fact that the one was digital stuff, that you can send things to family, because sometimes it's expensive to print things off and give them. But you've obviously got some activities that could be sent in an email to family, and family can fill in online and
true share. Yeah, no, exactly. That's
quite a useful function, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose it's that idea, if families are waiting for a place in the care home, and feeling like, what can we do in this interim waiting phase, that maybe helping families to feel involved and feeling useful as they prepare for their loved one to move to the care home. And exactly as Stacey's saying, especially with COVID restrictions, and I think exactly, and that's why that first resource that he used, the spinning wheel, that was originally available just in paper form as cards. And now we've moved it online so that it can be used as an activity that doesn't require any paper. Oh, so that's unfortunate that Stacey's group couldn't click on the link to complete the task. So Tracy, could you see any of the slides, or none of the slides? Oh, I'm sorry about that. That was unfortunate. So we can send on the presentation. I hope, was there any chance you had an interesting conversation anyway? I'm looking at Melanie. Melanie, there's always benefits. There's always, yeah. But no, that is unfortunate. But as I say, we can share the slides and share the web link to all the resources as well. Thanks, Kim. So Kim will make sure that those are distributed. So making songs and rhymes up with residents and staff's names, involving everyone. Fabulous. So that's Jay. Could I ask Jay, your camera's off. I'd love to hear if you're okay to unmute and share what you do. Or do you want to?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sometimes, like you can get different songs, and like if we an activity and there's everybody in the lounge, there is one song, Beautiful South, sing it, and it involves everyone's name. It was okay. Alison, and you can put Edna, Gwen, and everyone.
Lovely.
Things like that.
Lovely. And I think they can kind of, I don't know if you'd agree that sometimes that surprise when people hear their own names being sung.
Yeah, they do like that.
Yeah, lovely. No, thanks for that. So just see, we're just coming up to 5 to, and I know that there's some business, Nick, that you need to attend to in terms of evaluation. So I just want to check in with you.
Yeah, it's just obviously thanks, Edel. That was such a lovely session, and you can see that there's just a wealth of resources there, and it's very generous that they're all free as well, which is great, isn't it? So so thank you ever so much for sharing all that. Yeah, so I'm just conscious of I've got a link. We would ask you, if that's all right, folk, to fill in an evaluation form, and then of course any questions or anything you want, any follow-up, you can either contact, I'm sure Edel's happy for you to contact us directly or through us. But do have a look at that resource. I do think the My Home Life Scotland website and the resources and the connections resources, they're fantastic, and they they spend a lot of time, and I love the simplicity of them. And simple doesn't mean simplistic, you know, they're very profound little tools, but they're very easy to use. You know, not the sort of normal stuff you find in a university, are they? So okay, so Kim, could you share the little link for the evaluation? Would people mind filling that in before they go in the last sort of 5 minutes? Is that okay?
Yes, I've just shared that in the chat. So there is an English and Welsh version. So please click on whichever you would prefer to use.
Well, thank you all ever so much for coming, because we know how busy you all are. So see you next time. Thank you very much.